Whew, everyone. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ronan and I'll be your host. Today feels really good because we're at the start of a new season for the PWC Pokemon Journeys rewrite. But before we get into that, we got to make sure that we shout out the Patreon. So Normandy1998, thank you very much for the support. And also, everyone, analytics are very important. So please make sure to get the engagement as high as it possibly can. Drop a like, drop a comment, completely watch all the way to the end of the video. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. But with all that being said, let's get into what if Ash won the Pokemon World Championships Season 3 Part 1, The Heart and Soul Journeys. I hope you enjoy. In a time long forgotten, in a land where man was never meant to step foot, there existed the Plain of the Gods. In this region, the weather was harsh and the way of life hard. The creatures we call Pokemon adopted a survival of the fittest mindset, leading to Pokemon considered to be alphas of their species. These times were brutal, where no laws of man governed the land. That is, until the inevitable day when the one creature of the world that couldn't be happy until they had conquered every land and realm across existence, man stepped foot into the land. Humans' expansion was slow at first, establishing settlements across the continents. For millennia, the lands to the north remained untouched, allowing nature to rule. However, the human threat found it impossible to live in the harsh lands of the north. The climate didn't favor their preferred warm homelands. The Pokemon are far more hostile to outsiders that invade their territory. This resulted in many lives being lost over the span of decades as one failed expedition after another failed to these factors. However, man is nothing but persistent, and after nearly 1,000 years of trying, a small tribe was able to finally get a foothold in the region. But life was tough. The environment didn't favor things like farming and agriculture, processes vital for the survival of man. So, as they had done before, man took to hunting and violence to establish their society. However, the Creator found this intrusion into its most sacred land to be a blasphemy. But due to recent events with a certain meteor that had threatened all life on the planet, and having to invoke the three guardians of reality to stop the threat from the stars spreading across the planet, the Creator was weak. So, in order to protect its realm, the Creator bestowed its power to 10 creatures, known as alphas of their species, with one directive. They were to protect the lands of their birth and deal with the human infestation. With the problem seemingly dealt with, the Creator returned to its dimension to slumber. While things started out as the Creator had intended, with the humans nearly being cleared from the lands of its kingdom, the one thing that wasn't taken into considerations is the human spirit. Humanity had faced nothing but death during their seemingly alien existence in this world, and they would not give up. Over centuries, things slowly changed, with the humans coming not to only befriend these creatures of the kingdom, but worship and honor the 10 who possessed the power of the Creator, which had come to be referred to as noble Pokemon. Their powers were legendary. If angered, the nobles could end the existence of anyone they deemed unworthy. Unfortunately, this checks and balances the Creator put in place had one very big flaw: man. Power is the one thing man craves more than anything, which eventually led to the humans of the kingdom going to war with each other, which resulted in an uneasy peace when both sides suffered heavy losses. This is how things existed for hundreds of years, until some more modern settlers looked to make a home in this distant land after running from what they called the Day of Darkness in their home region. By this point, the humans of the region have lived here for many generations and had adopted the moniker of not letting outsiders into their home. However, another uneasy truce was struck that allowed a small number of outsiders to establish a colony at the farthest point south in the region, a place that was effectively swampland and deemed uninhabitable. But the newcomers made it work, and though life was hard, for once they were safe. That is, until the king of the lands they had intruded on awoke one day to find his kingdom desecrated by this infestation of humans. As the Creator stood at the highest peak in the world, its rage began to build. The 10 guardians of its kingdom had forsaken the Creator, seemingly siding with the humans. The land that was once boundless and fruitful evil of its creations was now slowly being subjugated by the false idols. The rage and vengeance for his benevolent trust being misplaced began to build to a critical mass. In an instant, the creature decided that if simple creatures would not abide by the life it had given them and would not respect the wishes of their god, then they would be cleansed, and the creator would start over from scratch with a world that knows not what they lost. Suddenly, violent tremors began to shake the land as fractures appeared in the sky all across the world. Even the guardians of landed sky trembled in fear at the presence and wrath they felt. This caused all creatures, man and Pokemon alike, to prepare for the end. Well, most of them. There were a small few that were able to figure out what was happening due to the nobles experiencing strange behaviors. This resulted in one man again stepping forward, a lone man that knew there was only one way to stop this, and that was to bind the creator to something. However, there was nothing in existence with such power. While hope appeared to be lost, the lone human discovered the mountain of the region was made of the materials that were formed in the creation itself, minerals called adamant and irida. Using a new technique the humans had developed, the man forged these materials into a capture device of some sorts. Then, the humans charged their bravest warrior to scale the peak and face this creator. However, when the hero arrived, something was extremely wrong. Not only had the god's rage caused reality to begin to fracture, but its own mortal coil was beginning to as well. The hero enlisted the help of his two most trusted companions to battle the creator. While it was long and there were some casualties involved, the lone hero was able to use the ball to capture creation itself, or what seemed to be creation, as something was pulled inside, but the creator still stood before the hero, confused about the situation. However, this had stopped the wrath of the god, with reality and the world returning to its peaceful state. Unfortunately, the hero that saved the world was never heard from again, and when his people came looking for him, the only thing that was found was the ball used to subdue the creator. Realizing what's inside would be of great danger if ever released, the man who forged the ball decided to leave the region, set for places unknown, and thus the ball became lost to time. However, nothing stays buried forever, and over time, the ball's exterior had rusted and oxidized, changing its appearance completely. It eventually made its way through the centuries into the hands of a boy named Ash Ketchum, as we have come to know this capture device as the GS ball. We begin our new season with our heroes, Go and Ash, as we find them in the deserts of the Unova region. While the two may seem out of place in this vast arid climate, there is a very important purpose for them coming to this area of the Pokemon world. Now we flash back to the day that Ash and Go met the leader of Project Mew, Professor Amaranth. Go listens to the professor as he explains their purpose and why they are on the island, and it is now teeming with human activity. The goal of the project is a simple one. They hope to find the origins of Pokemon. Since Mew is the ancestor of Pokemon, they seek it to obtain the DNA of the Mirage Pokemon. However, this is something that immediately raises a red flag with what happened with Mewtwo and Team Rocket, but upon both Go and Ash's objections to them obtaining the DNA of Mew, they are shut down by the chaser Quillen. We know all about Mewtwo and how it is the result of malicious practices with Mew's DNA. Wait, how do you know about Mewtwo? Ash asks. Amaranth reveals that once he was partnered with the one called Giovanni, under the illusion that they had the same goal. In the early days of our existence, funding was hard to find, so when we were approached by someone that had the financial background as him, it was hard to ignore. However, when it was discovered that Giovanni had different motives, I ended our partnership and took what research I could in order to start over. However, it wasn't much, and I was forced to start over from nearly nothing again, though I kept track of the progress of their experiments from a good friend, Dr. Fuji. He shared everything with me as he needed a second opinion when he was cloning the DNA. This resulted in me having a lot of information that would have been lost when Mewtwo destroyed the original lab. The only thing I never got my hands on was the actual DNA of Mew, so that's how we ended up here, scouring the world for the Mirage. While this explanation does explain a few things, Ash is still a bit unsure about this group. Amaranth picks up on this, telling the boy that his hesitation is understandable. But if you don't trust us, then trust the ones you call Professor Oak and Cerise. Oak is a co-founder of our group, while Cerise is a silent partner, feeding us from the shadows so that way we can keep our involvement a secret. It's here that Amaranth tells the boy to call the two to verify his statements. The two waste no time getting the professors on the phone, to which both Oak and Cerise confirm the statements of the oddball man. With this new information, Ash and Go are more inclined to hear what Amaranth has to say. The professor goes on to explain that he wants to offer Go a place on his team of chasers. He's been watching the boy for a while now and would like to give him a few tryouts. Wait, I thought you said you wanted me to join. Now I have to try out? This causes Clone to speak up with a humph and a snarky tone. Not everyone can be a chaser. You need to prove that you can handle it before you become a full member. If you can't complete our trial missions, then we'll drop you like dead weight. Amaranth laughs, telling Go it's not as bad as Quillen makes it out to be. He will assign 3 missions that Go will have to complete. Missions that are vital to the success of Project Mew. Go will have to complete 2 of the 3 missions in order to qualify for membership. What happens if I complete your tasks? Go questions. Well, you will get unlimited access to all the research we have on Mew. But if you fail, then you will never get this opportunity again. So, tell me, young man, do you accept these terms I've laid out? Amaranth says as we fade back to the current moment with Ash and Go, as they are walking and talking about the situation. Go comments that Chloe was smart for staying in Hoenn with May. The weather was much nicer. Yeah, but you know we couldn't do that. As soon as you registered with Project Mew, the first trial started. So after Max and them separated back in Kanto so he could challenge the League, we had to come out here to Unova, as this is the only place that Ash could think of where they would be able to find a chance to finish the next trial, to which Ash thinks still might be impossible as he's never seen a golden Volcarona or its scales before. So for all he knows, they could be on a wild Swanna chase. However, this is where Ash makes the comment that he hopes Go is ready, as the desert is a harsh place and his Pokemon will be put to the test. Well, I'm sorry Ash, but not all of us have the choices that you do, Go says with a bit of irritation in his voice. This is true, but Go knows Ash is right. He doesn't exactly have the kind of Pokemon equipped for desert outside of Golurk, so he hopes that it's enough, especially if they run into trouble. This thought leads our heroes to an area called the Colossus Ruins. It's here that we meet an excavation leader who Go asks if there have been any sightings of golden Volcarona in the area as of late. The burly man tells our heroes that while he's never seen a golden version of the Fire Moth, they do frequent the ruins, but unfortunately they haven't spotted any in the last couple of weeks, as poachers have been popping up and hunting the Pokemon in the area. Go hangs his head, thinking that his first trial mission is going to be a bust, until the leader mentions that there is an abandoned town not too far from here that was a former mining operation. If Ash and Go try there, then they may have some luck, as the Pokemon they seek used to appear far more frequently there than anywhere else in the desert. This gets the two excited as they thank the old man before darting off in the direction of the mining town. A few hours later, and now exhausted from their time in the sun, the two finally see the town in the distance. Using the last bit of their strength, our heroes rush to the oasis in the desert, only to find that it's more of a ghost town, as there isn't a living soul anywhere in sight. Not even Pokemon can be seen, which is of great concern to the duo. Pikachu is parched, Ash says, as he tries to pour water from his empty canteen. The electric mouse is starting to look like a dehydrated side of beef, which it confirms with a diminished cry of its name. Luckily, there is what appears to be a well in the center of the town, and the group is able to replenish some much-needed liquids. As the trio gulp down more water than their mouths can hold, a voice calls out to them. Turning, our heroes see a man approaching them. He is very friendly, asking if they are lost. Not too many people come out this far into the desert. Swallowing what water they have left in their gullet, the duo responds that they didn't expect to see anyone here. They came here to look for a Pokemon known as Volcarona. They had heard they could find them in the mines of this area. The man introduces himself as Nico, but informs the boys that they were told wrong. There is nothing like that here. The best you will find are some Roggenrola or Sandile in these parts. This gets Go down again, but Ash tells him not to worry. They'll still have a look around. After all, it would be a waste of time to come out here without at least exploring a little. This is where Nico cautions them against doing this. The area is unstable and could collapse. He says the mines were closed over 100 years ago and haven't been maintained at all in that time. But Ash won't be deterred. They have their Pokemon with them, so they should be able to handle anything that they come across. They then thank Nico for his concern before heading off into the mine, leaving the man standing there looking at the two with a strange look in his eye. With our heroes now in the mine shaft, they find it kind of dark, so Go sends in Raboot. The chaser in training asks the fire starter if they could help it out with some light. However, it just looks at Go with an expression of annoyance. Go notices this and begins to scold the rabbit that they are a team, and he needs its help here. Raboot lets out a very depressed sigh, but complies with Go, lighting a rock on fire and kicking it down the tunnel. It then proceeds walking at a pace to suggest it doesn't enjoy this task, continuing to kick rocks more to keep the light going. As Go and Ash walk behind the rabbit, the chaser mentions to Ash that he doesn't know what Raboot's problem is. Every time it's out of its ball, even when they are in danger, it seems like whatever task they have to do is something the fire starter just doesn't want to do or have to deal with. It seems like they are growing farther apart day by day. Smiling, Ash tells Go about the time when his first fire starter, Charmander, evolved into Charmeleon. It wouldn't listen at all. No matter what Ash tried, the fire starter just viewed Ash as a weak trainer, someone that grew far beyond its abilities. Then it continued when it evolved into Charizard. It even cost me my first shot at the Kanto Regional Championship. Great, Ash, that makes me feel better, Go responds. But Ash continues telling the story of while things got rough, eventually he was able to get through to Charizard. It took time, which you will need to wait as well. Raboot, while a bit rough around the edges, is still growing, but it still listens and works with you, albeit a bit more abrasive. Go looks at the rabbit, hoping that Ash is right as the two enter a cavern that seems to be glowing in some sort of aura that illuminates the whole area, but the source isn't immediately clear. So Ash and Go decide to have a look around, only to find that there is a set of Pokemon eggs hidden behind some abandoned mine cars. But as the two get excited and they let their guards down, they immediately regret it as they are bound by some sort of thread. It's a spider's web as a Galvantula binds our heroes even further, revealing that the man, Nico, is behind the attack with this electric bug. Ash and Go demand to know what the meaning of this is, only for Nico to reveal that he's been hunting the Volcarona for weeks and tracked it to this cave. Now you two are complicating things, so I'm going to be taking those eggs and you two are going to have to disappear so no one else comes looking. While the poacher is feeling very confident, there is one Pokemon he overlooked as Raboot uses Ember on the spider's web to free Ash and Go. Then, without a command from its trainer, the rabbit then engages Galvantula. Nico does his best to give commands, but Ash and Pikachu are on the attack, drawing his attention. Then, to add pressure, Ash calls on Bayleaf to use its Vine Whip to bind Nico. Wanting to follow suit, Go sends in Golurk to help Raboot as it has a type advantage against Galvantula. However, as the golem emerges, Raboot has already made quick work of the spider, knocking it out with an Amber double kick combination. The fire starter then walks off with Go yelling at it that they are supposed to be a team, yet it won't wait for any type of support. However, the rabbit just ignores the boy, sitting down and ignoring the rest of what's going on. While Go fumes over Raboot's disobedience, something remarkable happens. An intense heat swells within the cave as the Pokemon that have been seeking return to its home. A golden Volcarona hovers over the eggs, looking over the humans, a bit cautious as it performs a dance of some sort, then begins to glow in a flaming aura. This intense heat has an effect on the eggs as they begin to glow, resonating in tandem with Volcarona. They then erupt with energy, revealing the baby Pokemon Larvesta has hatched in response to its mother's heat. Unfortunately, one of the eggs seems to have not responded to the heat of the fire moth, but there is no time for Ash and Go to bring it to the attention of the bug, as it flies away with the baby Larvesta slinking off to deeper parts of the cave. However, Volcarona does leave behind one parting gift. As it beats its wings, a golden flake disperses in the surrounding area. As they collect on the clothes of Go and Ash, it becomes apparent that this is what they were looking for. Our heroes can't believe that it was this easy. Putting the flakes in a container, Ash then asks what they should do about the egg that wouldn't hatch. Nico says that they can leave it with him. He will take good care of it, but Go tells him there's no way that's happening. They're calling Officer Jenny and he's going to answer for his crimes. Go then turns to Ash, telling him that he will take it back to Professor Cerise. He will be able to tell if the egg is actually healthy. So with everything taken care of here, our heroes head outside and make a few phone calls. One to Officer Jenny for Nico and his Galvantula, and the second one to Amaranth so they can notify him of the success of their mission, and one final one to a Corviknight so that way it can take the flakes all the way back to Project Noob headquarters. With things wrapped up here, our heroes recall their Pokemon as they set off heading back to the Galar region to check in with Professor Cerise. It takes about a week, but we find our heroes at Cerise Labs in the Crown Tundra as they are explaining everything that happened in Hoenn. Cerise says it sounds like they got a lot more than they bargained for. even commenting on the fact that Go's Scorbunny evolved. This gets a sigh from the boy. It's been nothing but problems since then, he says. Cerise just laughs, stating that their relationship reminds him of Chloe's and his. So just work on it, and you guys will eventually find common ground. You two are more alike than you think, though it will take time to see it. Everyone keeps saying the same thing, Go thinks, but things are just getting worse, not better, so he hopes that their advice isn't wrong. This leads the professor to ask about the egg, to which Go explains where he found it, and he asks if the professor can make sure that it's okay, and nothing serious has happened to it, to which Cerise agrees that he will. But in the meantime, he mentions that the boy is in luck, because he has Go's next assignment, and it's local, so it will allow him to come back to the lab really quick after he's done. This gets Go's attention, as he does need something to do while waiting for his next trial mission. This is where we follow up with Ash, as he is on the phone with Professor Oak. He's changing out some of his team members, but oddly enough, the only one that he is sending over is Unpheasant. Oak asks if that's the only Mon that he wants, to which the boy confirms, as he's going to add Mimey and Melmetal back to his roster for a while, so they can get some exercise. Happy with the choice, Oak hangs up, only for Ash to call over to his home away from home, Alola. Much to the boy's surprise, Kukui picks up this time, happy to finally get a chance to talk to his adoptive son. Ash asks how things have been, to which the professor says there have been a lot of changes since Ash left, but they are all good ones. The professor then asks when Ash will be back, as there is so much that they need to catch up on that one simple phone call will not allow. Ash tells the professor he's currently competing in the World Championships, so he has to do a lot of traveling, but he will be home soon. He just has a couple of things that he needs to take care of first. Kukui smiles, telling Ash that when he gets back, they're gonna have to have a battle, as his Incineroar wants a rematch with Ash's. This causes the boy to get a little bit choked up, forcing him to clear his throat. Ash tells the professor that they will, but first he wants to know if he can send over Rowlet. Ash wants to take the bird on some of his travels over the next couple of weeks. Kukui tells him no problem. Rowlet is sleeping in the usual spot, so give him a moment and then he will get it for the trainer. Kukui then hangs up, and a moment later, a Pokeball appears on the transfer pad. Smiling, Ash puts the ball in his belt and returns to Go and the professor, to which the boy finds out about their next mission. They are headed to the highest peak in the Crown Tundra. At its peak, there is said to be an ancient tree, and Professor Cerise is curious to see if it bears any similarities to the Dynamax tree that currently lives in the area. Cerise says the local lore states that the tree used to live, and is tied deeply to the history of the region, but for some reason, 1,000 years ago, the tree suddenly began to die. That is when the new tree took root by the ocean. While it doesn't appear to have any negative impact on the area as a whole, I'm curious to see what its role was in the ancient past. With their newest mission now assigned, Ash informs Professor Cerise that he will be taking Melmetal and Mimey, as he wants to get them out of the lab for a while. Cerise tells him that that's no problem. So with everything in place, our heroes get some rest as they have a long day ahead of them. That night, Ash and Go lay in their beds attempting to sleep, but they are restless as Go can only think about Raboot. It's been so distant, and it's only moving away with everything he tries. This thought replays in the boy's mind as we shift to the bed above as Ash is staring at the egg he lays next to. The boy wonders when it's going to hatch. He then flashes back to Farina and the mindscape he shared with Deoxys. He knows that the virus Pokemon used the energy that the egg had stored to reactivate itself, and that caused the egg to go dormant once again. But he has slowly begun to feel the slight pulses of aura coming from it again. The hope of the boy is that the energy Deoxys took didn't harm the egg in any way as the night fades on. The next morning, after a healthy meal, our dynamic duo finds themselves in the wilds of the Crown Tundra. While this area is dangerous for humans, that is only if they are doing anything to agitate the local Pokemon. If they keep to themselves and pose no threat, then they will be left alone. This type of approach allows Go and Ash to make their way with little incident to the pathway that leads up the mountain. From its base, Go comments that they can see the tree. Ash asks if Go had ever went up there when he was looking for Mew. The boy says he didn't. While he wanted to, the one time he attempted, a presence washed over him, and the fact that he didn't have any Pokemon with him made it feel dangerous, so he didn't bother to try. But now he has his Pokemon, and Ash is here to help with it too, so if there is anything up there, they will be able to find it. Ash smiles as they take their first steps up. The path there is a rough one, to the point that our heroes have to call upon Melmetal and Golurk to handle some wild Metagross that perceive them as a threat. However, this was resolved with little effort on their part when the Metagross grew bored, but the two decide to leave their massive Pokemon out just in case they have any more issues going further. As they proceed up the mountainside, signs of some sort of ancient civilization come into view. There used to be a structure here, Go says. Maybe the people from Freezington used to live here in the past. It's possible, Ash says, as they turn a corner and a gigantic structure comes into view. It looks like a castle, and at the center of it sits the tree that they are heading to. While this has their attention, our heroes are oblivious to the fact that they have a visitor that has been watching them from above. However, as the two get closer to what appears to be the ancient castle, this visitor seems to be more uncomfortable with this. This visitor is the Galarian bird Articuno. The psychic type isn't happy as it seems that they have wandered into what could be considered its territory. Making its presence known, the bird begins to flex its massive wings and psychic powers to intimidate the two. However, Ash and Go won't back down as their two golems step forward to address the situation. Go asks Ash if he thinks that they are about to have another incident like they had the one day that they had met. Smiling, Ash says it doesn't matter. They are a team, and they will get through it. However, as our heroes give their orders to attack, an ethereal cry rings across the crown tundra that causes all of the Pokemon to stop. But this isn't what has the attention of Ash and Go. It's Articuno. It has turned its attention to the source of the cry, which appears to be coming from the area that Ash and Go are heading to. This causes Articuno to ignore the humans in favor of taking off to explore the sound of that cry. Ash isn't a fan of what's happening, but he and Go both know that with how far they've come, there's no turning back. The two look at each other before stepping into what they now know is sure trouble. It takes a few more hours, and over the course of this time, Go and Ash can see images of Articuno flashing in the sky like it's dodging something. Luckily, they both still have Melmetal and Golurk with them, the trainers think to themselves. While the weather is more extreme at higher altitudes, this does little to deter our heroes as they climb higher and higher. Eventually, they find what they have been seeking, a passageway that leads up to the ruins they notice from halfway down the mountain. It's here they see a bright flash, followed by a tremble that comes from within the ruins of the castle. The boys do what they can to shield their eyes as their two golem protectors step in the way just in case there are any type of damage that may be headed their way. But as the light fades, the only thing that can be seen is Articuno flying off in the distance, seemingly crying out in pain. Ash and Go gulp as they look at each other, but they know it can't be avoided, so they begin to ascend the stairway. With each step, it feels like a presence can be felt. However, they know Articuno is gone, so it has to be something else. As the boys enter the ruins, the withered husk of the former tree stands before them. Both of them marvel at the sight of the fern. Up close, the true grandeur of the situation begins to set in. However, Ash and Go shake it off and begin to get to work with Golurk and Melmetal standing guard. They begin to look for an area of the tree that isn't frozen over in ice. Luckily, Melmetal is able to provide support with a double iron bash that breaks some of the roots free. However, from this point, as the wood cracks from the force of the attack, an ethereal cry rings out throughout the surrounding area once more, as from within the shadows, an attack strikes at the two. Melmetal and Golurk fend off a barrage of shadow balls. However, this isn't without incident, as the power of these attacks is so great that Golurk falls when being struck multiple times. This leaves the two in an odd position. Ash tells Go to get the samples. He will deal with whatever this is. Melmetal, protect Go. The metal monster stands between the boy and the unseen enemy. Ash and Pikachu take point as he holds a Pokeball in his hand. Gengar, I choose you! The ghost type emerges from its ball with a cackle, but Ash tells it they don't have time for playing around right now, as he points at another Shadow Ball heading their way. The ghost Pokemon uses its ghastly powers to fade into the darkness, looking for the source of the attack, as Pikachu catches the attack with an Electro Web. However, when this happens, a cry of pain is heard before Ash watches as Gengar is ejected from the shadows into a nearby wall. This hit was enough to make it so that the ghost type can barely move, as it looks forward as something appears from within the shadows. Ash watches as a Pokemon he has never seen before fades in and out of sight, as it again cries at the tone that causes everyone's blood to run cold with fear. The boy doesn't know what is going on here, as it seems there is nothing that will affect it. Ash orders a barrage of thunderbolts in an attempt to slow down this phantom, but it's to no avail. Gengar isn't liking that it was just bested in what is supposed to be its element, as it struggles back to its feet, but the ghost is barely able to move, hovering above the ground trying to summon what looks like a Shadow Ball of its own. But it's unable to charge the attack before taking another Shadow Ball that knocks it out once and for all. This just leaves Pikachu and Melmetal as they engage with their attacker, who has now made an attempt to attack Go. Luckily, the boy has finished gathering the samples and signals to Ash that they should get out of here as quickly as possible. Recalling their Pokemon that are unable to move, the boys bolt from the ruins as Melmetal runs interference. At this point, they've forgone using the carved out path in favor of sliding down the mountainside to put as much distance between them as possible. Luckily, Luckily, they are able to reach the bottom fairly quickly as the attacks appear to have stopped. Both of the boys look up at the ruins only for another cry to ring out across the tundra that shakes them to their core. With Ash looking on, Go says they should head back before something else happens. Ash takes one look, having a strange feeling that whatever that was, they haven't seen the last of it. A few hours later, the boys are back in Cerise Labs, as Go hands over the samples and explains everything that happened while they were up there at the ruins. Professor Cerise asks Go if he has the video from the encounter, to which the boy hands it over, but upon review, it's revealed that the recordings are very staticky. This is odd, he says. With Rotom in his phone, there shouldn't be any reason for this to happen unless the Pokemon you encountered was a ghost type, and even then, it would have to be extremely powerful to overpower Rotom. Go says that could be the case, as they were attacked from the shadows, so it must have been a ghost type Pokemon. Even Ash's Gengar couldn't stand up to it. Very strange, Cerise says, as we fade to Ash, as he is making sure Gengar is okay. While the ghost type is fine physically, it's not its normal, happy, mischievous self that it usually is. Ash notices this and talks with Gengar, saying it did the best it could, but don't be down. Gengar looks at the boy. Ash refuses to give up on it, and this is proven when Ash tells Gengar that they will get stronger, and he has an idea on how they can. So when they rest up a bit, they will start training. This seems to perk up the shadow Pokemon, as it smiles and hugs Ash. After a few days of rest, our heroes find that they are ready to go back out on the road. However, Ash decides that he is going to leave Melmetal behind. It was the only thing that could stand up to whatever that thing was that attacked them, so in order to protect the lab with the samples, he thinks that it would be best. But the boy is going to take Mimey with him, as he plans to return it to his mom when they make their way back to Pallet. With everything wrapped up here, the two head out to a place that Ash promised Gengar they could go to get stronger. They are headed north to the city of Stowinside. Ash intends to challenge and train with the ghost-type trainer that they had met there. As the two head to the station that leads out of the Crown Tundra, there is something that Go has noticed. East of the station, there appears to be some sort of construction going on. He comments on this to Ash as they see outside a familiar duo, the father and daughter they ran into the last time they left the tundra. The girl is very vocal about something the man did. The only thing that they can make out is a comment about a man in a pyramid and how they almost died helping him. The man says they were fine, and on the next mission they have, it will be just that more exciting, but this causes the girl to storm off in frustration. However, Go and Ash can't stick around any further. The train is calling for them to board, or be left behind. The two run, as they can't miss this one, or they won't be able to leave for another week. But as they board the train, the girl stomps off by, mumbling something about her dad and how she's going to throw his new favorite pillow into the dumpster. The two just stare as the door closes behind them and the train takes off. The trip to Stowinside is going to take a day or two, as they will have to have a layover in Motostoke. However, this isn't a problem, as there's one place that Ash has been wanting to check out. A place that was commented on before as one of the toughest gyms in Galar, the gym in Motostoke. As they arrive, Go questions why they are here, to which Ash comments that he had heard that this is one of the strongest leaders in all of Galar, so he wants to challenge him to a battle. Go wishes Ash luck, as Sobble and the rest of his Pokemon want to go check into the hotel, so he's going to head that way while Ash goes on to have his battle. Ash says that he will see Go later as he runs off in the direction of the gym. Go, with Sobble on his shoulder, then heads off to a place called the Dewdrop Inn. However, when he arrives, there is a small crowd outside that is preventing Go from entering the hotel. As the boy pushes his way through the crowd to get to the door, Go is met with the sight of something very special. It is the world-famous actress Jacqueline and her partner Inteleon. This catches the attention of both Go and Sobble, both for different reasons. Go has had a bit of a crush on Jacqueline since he was younger, so he's a bit starstruck. But Sobble, well, it's enthralled with the sights of its full evolution. The water type has always wanted to evolve, but never knew how to get there, so this is something that sends it into daydreaming about being a superhero, while Go manages to push his way through the rest of the crowd who seems to be making his crush uncomfortable. So he decides on a clever course of action. Pretending to work for the hotel, he states that they need her attention for something in regards to her reservation. This gets the woman to come inside, to which she asks what the emergency is. Go, a little flustered, says there is no emergency. He could just tell that she was getting a little overwhelmed, so he figured that he would give her an excuse to get away from the crowd. With a giggle, Jacqueline thanks the boy, introducing herself, but Go says there's no need. He knows exactly who she is. Her and her Inteleon are famous. but Go takes the time to introduce himself and Sobble, to which both fan out over the top celebrities in front of them. Jacqueline asks if Go lives around here, but the boy says he doesn't. He's actually a researcher for a professor here in the region, and is just stopping in for the night before heading to his next destination in the morning. Go then asks what the woman is doing here in Motostoke, to which Jacqueline replies that she comes out here to get away from everything. She's been so busy as of late that she needed to get away from the limelight for a while. Go says it must be hard being a hero for so many people. All of the adventures that her and Atelion go on must be a lot of work. Jacqueline giggles once again, telling Go that most of her stuff is just done with green screens. While she does her own stunts, the effects are all CGI, so to call her a hero is a bit of a stretch. But you could be closer to what a hero is. You get to travel the world going on missions and adventures. Every day is a new day for you and your Pokemon. You know, I never thought about it like that, Go says, but still, you can't sell yourself short. Millions of people look up to you, so whether it's real or fake, you are still their hero. Smiling, Jacqueline says she likes the way Go thinks. She then offers to get him an upgrade for his room for the help that he gave her, to which the boy gladly accepts as they continue to talk while Sobble fanboys over its evolved form. Now we move over to Ash as he has made his way to the Motostoke gym. This place is packed as we see many people outside preparing to buy tickets. Wow, battling really is a big part of culture here in Galar, he thinks to himself. But this is where we are going to see that his plans might just get derailed slightly, as there's no way for Ash to just wander into the gym and challenge the leader, as they are hosting some sort of big event right here at the gym. The only way Ash can get in is to buy a ticket and sit in the crowd. Reluctantly, the boy is a bit sad that he won't get a chance to battle, but at least he can watch whatever is happening. So with his ticket in hand, he and Pikachu head inside to find a seat as close to the front as possible. A few minutes later, Ash finds himself part of a massive crowd, as at the center of the Motostoke Stadium stands a man that he's seen before, Chairman Rose. Next to him stands a man that the chairman introduces as Kabu, the leader of the gym here in the city. Chairman Rose welcomes everyone to their open challenge event. He hopes everyone is ready for the festivities that they have lined up, as they have someone that is looking to win their third badge of the Galar League. Ash watches on with anticipation to see who this challenger is. They must be strong if they've made it this far. After all, he's faced two of the gym leaders in the region, and they were no pushover. However, the person that walks out on the field is someone that Ash hasn't met before. Rose introduces her as a person named Marnie. Ash watches as the girl takes to the field to greet the leader and chairman. However, that's not the only thing drawing the most attention, as there is an obnoxious crowd of people that is yelling Marnie's name at the top of their lungs. They have signs and giant-sized pictures of the girl that you can see makes her noticeably blush as she and Kabu get ready to engage in their battle. What follows is a display of power and skill as Marnie does her best to take down the third leader of Galar, but ultimately she is unable to capture her third's badge, as Kabu shows his years of experience and demonstrates his direct style of battling using his Ninetales to capture the win. While the crowd cheers on, the ones known as Team Yell boo Kabu. This is loud enough to get addressed by Chairman Rose, as he tells them any more outbursts then they will be escorted out of the stadium, as some members of the league security stand at each end of their row, ready to remove them by force if necessary. The troublesome group settles down, with Marnie giving them a side-eye. It's here that Rose asks Kabu if he still has some fight left in him, to which the leader says that he and his Pokemon are still fired up, so they will take on any challenger. Good, the chairman says with a gleam in his eye. Turning, Rose tells the audience they have a very special guest in attendance tonight, but not just any guest. They are a regional champion, someone that has been making a name for themselves not just here in Galar, but across the Pokemon world since they won their championship less than a year ago. This has Ash and Pikachu's full attention. They want to know who this amazing trainer is, but they quickly find out as the light of the stadium pans up the direction of the crowd leading to our hero, Ash Ketchum of Pallet Town, and the current champion of the Alola region. How would you like a chance to battle our leader Kabu? The boy grows giddy as the crowd cheers for a chance of another battle. Standing up, our hero rushes the battlefield, not even using the proper pathways, just jumping over the barricade onto the gym floor, causing everyone to whisper about the oddity of this boy. Moments later, Ash stands face to face with Rose and Kabu. So I take it you accept our challenge? Smiling, Ash and Pikachu nod as they greet Kabu and introduce themselves. Rose hypes up the crowd, telling them that even though Ash is not challenging challenging the Galar League, he is in the World Championships and has already beaten 2 of Galar's leaders in the coronation battles. This gets the crowd's attention. Silence befalls the stadium as Kabu finally addresses Ash, telling the boy that he is not like the others he has faced. Kabu may look old, but the fires of youth burn within him. This gets Ash excited as he asks if they can get started. Chuckling, Kabu says he loves his youthful vigor. Turning to Rose, the leader says he believes that they have been waiting long enough. Rose agrees as he clears the battlefield while Ash and Kabu take their spots. Ash comments that he had actually come here today to challenge Kabu to a battle, but was a little sad when it looked like that he wouldn't come true. As a Rotom ref hovers above, Kabu states that he won't be holding back like he did in his last battle, so Ash better not hold back either. This triggers someone as we see the girl Marnie taking a seat in the crowd with the group that seems to be her fan club. What does he mean he held back, she thinks, taking offense to that comment. Well, let's just see how this champion does against the old man. Now we shift over to Chairman Rose as he meets someone in the VIP viewing box above the stadium. This woman asks if that is such a good idea, but Rose says it couldn't be better. There's no way Kabu will lose to this brat. As we move back down to the field with Ash and Kabu as they choose their first 2 Pokemon. For the old man, he chooses to go with a more defensive option as his Torkoal hits the field, while Ash declares, "Unpheasant, I choose you." The turtle and bird emerge at the same time with the Rotom ref signaling the start of the coronation battle. Kabu wastes no time in getting things started with the ability of his Mon, Drought. This causes the sunlight to become harsh as he begins to set his strategy into motion. With the stage now set, Kabu wastes no time calling for a lava plume. However, Ash has the perfect counter in Swift, preventing any damage to the bird. He then uses its superior speed, calling for an aerial ace. For the moment, it looks like it's going to connect as Torkoal can't keep up with the pace that Unpheasant moves. But it doesn't have to, as Kabu has what is needed to counter here in the form of a Protect. This leaves the bird in a very vulnerable state, as it's too close to dodge what's coming next, as Torkoal uses a Will-O-Wisp that connects with the burn. Kabu tells Ash that he should have seen that move coming, but Ash just smiles. He won't let something like that stop us. Now Unpheasant, use Aerial Ace! Shaking off the first bit of damage from the burn, the regional flyer bolts down to the field, trying to catch as much speed as possible before colliding with the fire type. But this is to little effect as Unpheasant's attack is hindered by the burn, so its physical moves will cause less damage overall. Kabu knows this as he shifts his battle plans, recalling his first choice to reveal his second choice in their battle, calling on his ace, Centiskorch. The bug type hits the battlefield as the tense sun takes effect. It amplifies the power of the centipede as Kabu calls for the first attack of this round with the Fire Lash. Whips of fire begin to launch from the tail of Centiskorch as it attempts to keep the battle long range. But Ash isn't going to be hindered by these plans as he orders Unpheasant to climb as high as it can in preparation for its best move. Suddenly, Ash's Unova Flyer begins to glow in a devastating energy before it dives to the ground, breaking the sound barriers as our hero calls for a sky attack. Realizing they will need to meet head-on, Kabu commands for a Flame Wheel. Engulfing itself in fire, the bug type spins down the battlefield looking to use the sunlight to its advantage. But Unpheasant isn't playing around as the speed it moves causes a Sonic Boom to kick back and temporarily cancel out the sun while connecting with the super effective damage. This sends the bug tumbling back into a wall of the gym, with Kabu impressed at what Ash was just able to do. However, it's not over as Kabu recalls his bug to send back in Torkoal, setting up the sunlight once again and causing another turn of burn to stack up on the bird. Unpheasant is now breathing very hard, but it's not ready to give in just yet as it fires off another Swift to counter a lava plume. But this time, it just doesn't have the power to match the increase that the sun offers, and some of the bursts of fire manage to find their way, driving Unpheasant into the ground. The bird struggles to stand using all it has. Noticing that they are at a limit, Ash aims to prolong the battle by ordering a roost to give some much needed relief to his Mon, or so he thought, as Kabu's next order is what seals the fate of the first fatality when Torkoal uses the move that it's been saving, Stone Edge. As the roost is underway, Unpheasant is unable to fly, taking the rock attack head on and finally succumbing to its wounds, bringing the battle to an end. Recalling his bird, Ash tells Kabu he definitely is the strongest Galar gym leader he's faced. The other two were strong, but he never felt like there was a chance for him to lose. But now, by the way Kabu uses his Pokemon, it proves why challengers have such a hard time against him. Smiling, the old man tells Ash that he's just getting started, so his next choice had better be one that can battle, or he will be the second to lose to him on this day. All the while, Marnie is watching intensely as Rose smiles, seeing his plan unfold before him. Ash knows he's right. The next choice can make or break the next battle, and can hand Ash his first loss since Drake, but he's not going to let that happen without a fight as he readies his next ball, Gengar, I choose you! The ghost type pops from the ball, cackling its name, bouncing around, signaling that it's ready for battle. So, a ghost type, Kabu thinks. This could be interesting, if he knows how to use it. The second battle is called to start, with Kabu looking to take advantage of the sun like before, calling for another lava plume. But this time, Gengar is the perfect counter as it fades into the shadows of the battlefield, evading the attack and saving it from any damage. But this isn't what Ash was aiming for, as he gave the order for Gengar to go on the attack with Hypnosis. Kabu tells Torkoal to be on guard. It will appear from anywhere, but as they look around, nothing happens. Kabu calls to Torkoal to use another lava plume to flush out the ghost type, but as the command is given, the turtle doesn't respond. Kabu doesn't understand why until he takes a closer look at the battlefield, revealing that Torkoal is actually already asleep. Beneath it, on the floor of the battlefield, are the eyes of Gengar, as it spins Torkoal into La La Land. Smiling, Ash knows that they have this one, as he orders Gengar to use a Shadow Ball. Reconstituting from the shadows, the ghost type fires in rapid succession until the fire type is left turned over on its shell with spirals in its eyes. This boy knows his Pokemon, which means he's gonna have to battle on their toes. But what the boy doesn't know is that things are about to go to the max. Above, the woman that sits with Rose asks if this is what was part of his plan, but the chairman says nothing, only watching with a death glare in the direction of the two challengers. Meanwhile, Marnie is a bit upset. She couldn't even get past Ninetales, and this kid managed to take out Torkoal with only using one Pokemon. This irks her a bit, but not because she's jealous of Ash, but because she's beginning to realize just how outmatched she was. Back on the battlefield, Kabu readies his next choice as Centiskorch emerges one final time. Now the old man has one thing that he has to keep in mind. His bug type took a lot of damage from Unfezant earlier, so he's gonna need to make sure to get as much mileage out of this as possible. So he tells Ash that he will no longer be holding back, revealing the Dynamax band on his arm. The boy's eyes widen as he watches the process in which Kabu sends in his G-Max Centiskorch. Suddenly, the heat in the stadium intensifies with the sun as the building-sized bug takes to the field. Ash tells Gengar to be ready. This won't be easy. He then gives a command to attack first, calling for another Hypnosis. However, Kabu quickly counters this by ordering a G-Max Overgrow. Suddenly, a surge of nature energy washes over the two Pokemon as a healing aura begins to take effect. Smiling, Kabu feels like things are in his favor as Ash quickly realizes what's happening. They are losing the advantage they had, so he orders Gengar in with a Shadow Ball. But Kabu is ready to counter with a Max Flutterby that engulfs the ghost type, hitting it for some serious damage. But Gengar and Ash realize that they are on the losing end, and if something isn't done, then they are going to lose this battle. But Ash isn't ready to give up just yet, telling Gengar he still has one more trick up his sleeve. Reaching into his vest pocket, Ash pulls out something that Rose and Kabu didn't know he had, a Dynamax band. Kabu inquires to where he got that, to which the response is a simple one. Leon gave it to him. Why not use it while we're here battling in the Galar region? Above, Rose is beginning to lose his composure, as this was not part of his plans. The chairman can do nothing but watch as he initiates a Dynamax process as Gengar emerges from the ball in its Dynamax form. The ghost, while big, still possesses something that Centiskorch doesn't, the ability to use shadows to hide, and Kabu finds this out the hard way when Gengar vanishes while he was calling for a G-Max Centinferno. Fire envelops the whole stadium as the barriers can barely hold back the power that is on display. The fire type put all it had into the attack, only for it to fail and Gengar to emerge at the command of Ash and use a Max Hailstorm. Suddenly, the temperature drops across the area as ice begins to rain down from the heavens. Knowing they have the advantage, Kabu calls for another G-Max Centinferno, but there is one problem. Centiskorch's time in the Dynamax has run its course, and the transformation reverts as it takes the ice attack. Once the steam dissipates, it is revealed that the bug type is no longer able to battle, and Ash has won. The crowd is celebrating the show that was just put on. Cheers can be heard ringing throughout the area as the girl Marnie looks down. So, Ash Ketchum, she thinks to herself. Well, next time we see each other, it will be in a coordination battle. Above with Rose, a look of frustration is plastered across his face. This boy has made a fool out of the league that he built once again. He's making Galar look weak. If it looks weak, then the money stops. And if that happens, then Galar will be plunged back into the Dark Ages in the next 100 years. It looks like your plans backfired, the woman says, as we pan out to the battlefield with Kabu raising Ash's hands in victory. You fought well, the leader says. I didn't think I would lose, but your Pokemon are powerful. I hear your goal is to get to Leon. Ash confirms this by saying he wants to battle the strongest in the world, so the path to Leon is the one he will travel. Well, if you keep this up, then you will make it, Kabu says. It's here that Ash hugs his Gengar. See, you're getting stronger already, but we have one more place to go. The ghost cackles, happy with the results of today's battle. This is where Ash's phone goes off, signaling that he's made a slight jump in the rankings, moving up to 710. While not the biggest jump, Ash is happy to continue his winning streak. With things now finished here, we fade to that night at the Dewdrop Inn. Ash gets to meet Go's new friend and her Intellion, but it's here that Ash's ignorance of pop culture comes into play, as he has no idea who this person is, surprising both her and Go. While Jacqueline isn't really offended, she's more impressed, as these two really are everything that she's not, as Go and Ash argue about something that's not really that important, while Jacqueline just laughs as we fade to the next day. Ash and Go are on the train, heading north once more. The two are talking while Sobble and Pikachu play. Next to Go sits Raboot, looking out the window, reserved and emotionless. As the train clatters down the tracks, Go and Ash are talking about a slight detour that they're going to have to take. The tracks that lead to Stow-N-Side have been shut down due to a recent attack from a rogue Dynamax Pokemon that attacked the area. Go says it's strange, as normally this doesn't happen, but apparently a few new power spots were discovered in the area. That means there will be a lot of teams in the area, so traveling by foot will be the only option. Ash doesn't really have a problem with this, as they didn't get a chance to really see the area around Stow-N-Side the last time they were here. Maybe they will get a chance to see some new Pokemon, which excites Go, as he's been wanting to catch some new members for his team. This detour puts them just west of Hammerlock, about a 3 days journey from their destination. Our heroes are traveling along the northernmost ridge of the wild area. This area is very remote, and there is still little human activity. That is, except for what looks like a small archaeological settlement. Outside, they see two people that are arguing in front of a weird machine. The debate looks pretty intense as Go and Ash watch the man and woman get pretty heated over some fossils. That's when they see the two standing there, and without missing a beat, they ask our heroes to settle something for them. The two people introduce themselves as Kara and Bray, two scientists that have invented a portable machine that can bring fossils back to life. Both Ash and Go are excited by this prospect, but they have little time to talk as the two get right to the point. They need Ash and Go to settle the debate. They have 4 different halves of fossils, and they can't agree on how they are supposed to go together. They need Ash and Go to settle what halves go together. The two boys look over the fossils, trying to decide on what goes with what. At first, they try to fit them together like a puzzle, but it doesn't seem to work. Then they try to take it apart and go at it again, but still nothing. It's gotten to the point that both Kara and Bray are growing impatient, but Ash thinks he may have a solution. He then picks up the fossils, then randomly shuffles them around before feeding them into the machine one by one. Wait, the two doctors says. It wasn't meant to handle that much material at once, but it's too late. There's nothing they can do as the machine struggles to do the task it was built for, jumping and letting out noises that no machine nor living being should be able to make, before finally glowing and producing not one, but 2 different Pokemon that look like they have no business even existing. Both Ash and Go approach the two looking to try and make friends, while the one that Go is close to appears to be docile, as his Rotom phone identifies it as a Pokemon known as Arctozolt. It sparks and it is cold to the touch, embracing Go as the first human it's ever seen in its life, while the other one, it's not so docile, as Ash's Rotom phone identifies it as a Dracovish as it bites down on Ash's head, testing out if its massive jaws work after being brought back to life. Pikachu, worried about its trainer, uses an Electro Web to try and break the fossil's grip, but this causes Dracovish to take off, running with Ash in his jaws. Pikachu gives chase as Go, Kara, and Bray watch in disbelief. But the two doctors immediately begin taking notes, much to Go's surprise. Following up with Ash, Dracovish is running across the land till it spots something that calms the wild inside of it. A pond that causes the dragon to stop as it eyes its reflection, dropping Ash in the process. The boy watches as Dracovish jumps into the water and begins to swim, enjoying its new lease on life. This is where Pikachu finally catches up. It and Ash look at each other and decide to jump in, joining the fossil in some fun. An hour later, Ash and Dracovish find their way back to the dig site. There he sees that Go and Arctozolt have become fast friends. The boy joins them, apologizing for Dracovish and it taking off. The doctors can have it back now, but they don't really care about the two Pokemon that have been resurrected. They figure that the two fossils are ruined as they are a jumbled mess. This makes both Ash and Go upset. Our heroes yell at the two for their carelessness and brazen behavior. They are still living beings and belong to this world, but the two scientists just blow off this, stating stating that they are amalgamations that are unnatural. So they're just gonna head back to their dig site, leaving the 2 fossils in the care of Ash and Go. Turning, our heroes know that they can't just leave them, so they do the only thing that they can do, both presenting a Pokeball to the fossils. Both look at each other, and then they look at the 2 humans. Unsure of what to do, they lean down for Ash and Go to tap them on their heads before a light sucks them into the modern machines. With 3 shakes, each manage to add these one-of-a-kind Pokemon to their teams. With this strange but very wholesome adventure now out of the way, our heroes now move on to their next destination. A few days later, our heroes find themselves in the city of Stoneside. The first thing they hit is the Pokemon Center. Ash wants to make sure his Pokemon are ready to go before they do what they came here to do. It's here that Go asks what Ash's intentions are when they enter the gym. It's simple. The last time we were here, that trainer Alistair and his Gengar showed that they were strong, so I want to see if we can train with them. He seemed to understand the ghost typing, which is something I haven't really had a chance to work with. He said Haunter had hidden potential, and now that we don't have a world-ending threat to deal with, I want to see if I can take some time to train a little. So now that it's a Gengar, I feel like we would really be able to push ourselves. Well, it seems smart. Let's hope that Alistair sees things the same way. After Nurse Joy gives the free and clear, the 2 head over to the place that they ran into Alistair the last time they were here. Luckily, they won't have to go looking for him, as the timid trainer is actually outside, what Ash and Go have learned to be one of 2 gyms in Stoneside. But he's not alone, as there is another person with him, a girl, the same one he saw the last time they were here. The 2 are talking when Ash and Go approach. Our hero greets the 2, asking if he could speak with Alistair. Sure, he says, asking the girl he addresses as B if she wouldn't mind putting their conversation on hold. The girl looks Ash over as he begins to talk with Alistair. The boy lays out his request that puts Alistair in an awkward position. Ash wants him to train his ghost type, but Alistair doesn't really do too good around people, which he tries to explain to Ash. He informs him that he shouldn't be the one that he should be asking for help when it comes to learning about ghost type Pokemon. Alistair isn't the most articulate person and stumbles over his words, so the boy declines Ash's request. This gets Ash to insist that Alistair change his mind, pushing the leader more and more. Alistair is growing uneasy, as even though Ash isn't mean about it, he doesn't realize that he's putting Alistair in a very uncomfortable position. As the ghost type master begins to withdraw and no longer respond to the questions of our hero, a very demanding voice orders Ash to stop his incessant pestering. Alistair said no, so he means no. Turning his gaze, Ash sees that it was the girl that Alistair was talking to. Don't, Alistair says, but the girl won't stay quiet any longer. She can see that Alistair is in distress, so she will address Ash. You need to leave, she commands. Come back when you learn to respect the wishes of others. Hold it, Ash says. I'm just here for some training. I don't mean any harm. I think Alistair is the best person for the job. Well, obviously he doesn't, B responds. Look how uncomfortable you're making him. Ash looks at the leader but doesn't really see any difference. Look, if he doesn't want to train with me, then that's fine, but let him tell me. You are not his guardian. But Alistair has shut down and not really responding to anyone but B. She tells him to go to the gym. They will talk later. This makes Ash a little angry. He has come all the way here for training, and this girl is doing whatever she can to stop that. What's your problem? Ash yells. Why won't you let me train here? B simply turns to tell Ash that he's the problem. Learn how to approach people and recognize when you're pushing too hard. Alistair gave you an answer that you didn't like, so you ignored it in favor of your own selfish pursuits. That's my problem. Yeah, well, I think you're gonna have another problem, Ash says, pulling out a Pokeball. Looking at the boy, B asks if this is really what Ash wants to do, but the boy doesn't blink, holding to his actions. Smiling, B tells him she would be glad to make an example out of him, but only on one condition. It's a coordination battle. Ash has no problem with this, saying he would like nothing more. Good then. Follow me, the girl says, as she leads Ash and Go to the second gym of Stoneside. The whole time, Go is thinking that he doesn't like the feel of this. A few moments later, with Go and Pikachu sitting in the stands of this massively empty stadium, Ash and B stare each other down from across the battlefield. Above, the Rotom Ref hovers, asking what the conditions of their battle will be. Ash leaves B to name the conditions as he logs into his phone to accept the match. But it's here that he gets a very very real shock of reality when he gets to see her ranking. B is 102 in the World Coronation event, but this shock isn't a bad one. It's one of excitement. He has a chance to jump ahead if he wins here today. This is where they find out this will be a simple one-on-one. The winner will take all. Ash has no issue with this as he grabs a ball from his belt. Meanwhile, Alistair watches from a secluded part of the stadium, wanting to see the outcome of this battle. With the Rotom ref making the battle official, both trainers make their move as B calls on a Pokemon that Ash has never seen before, something known as a Graplock, while our hero declares, "Gengar, I choose you." The ghost type pops from the ball, much to the surprise of Alistair. "So you evolved," he thinks to himself. "Well, let's see what you can do." The match starts with Ash ordering Gengar to use Hypnosis, but B is ready for this, as she commands for a Detect, allowing her fighting type to evade the attack. But Ash isn't phased, ordering Gengar into the shadows just like the battle he had with Kabu. The ghost type does as commanded, knowing the angle that Ash is going for, but as it appears on the ground below the octopi, B doesn't even give the ghost type a chance, ordering a brutal swing that sees Graplock throwing its body into the ground. From Ash's perspective, this looks like it did nothing, but that is far from the case as Gengar emerges from the shadows, visibly shaken from that attack. Ash calls to it, but before the words can come out, B is back at it again with another attack. Thus, the brutal swing doesn't have the ground to act like a buffer between the two, making Gengar take the attack full force. It's here that Ash begins to realize something. There is more at play than just damage. It appears that Gengar is confused due to being attacked the way it was. This is where B comments, saying that Ash shouldn't be surprised. She has Alistair to battle with against, so anything he could try, she has already faced in battle with him. Ash calls to Gengar in an attempt to get through, but to no avail, as B makes her final call in the battle for liquidation. Ash's ghost type is slammed with a high pressure amount of water, sending it into the stadium wall. The Rotom ref declares the battle over with B as the winner. Thanks to this win, she was able to jump a class, moving her rank to 95 in the Ultra class, while Ash, because he took a chance on battling someone much higher in rankings than himself, drops from 710 to 808. The boy can do nothing but look on as he realizes the total battle lasted less than a minute. The intense emotion Ash is feeling here causes a slight reaction out of the egg that is in his bag that B notices for a brief moment before it dissipates. The girl then looks at Ash, telling him that if he wishes to face Leon, then he will have to get far better than that. This battle was sloppy, and you were ill-prepared. It seems that I'll be the one battling Leon in the Masters 8 instead of you, and that is where we are going to leave things for now. So tell me, what did you think about the start of Season 3? What was attacking Ash and Go at the castle ruins and the Crown Tundra? Did you like Ash's battle with Kabu? And what about Ash's catch in Dragovish? Was it done better than in the anime? And how about the loss that Ash just had to B and Alistair's inability to train with Ash and Gengar? How will that affect the rest of this season? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's all we had for today's video. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to watch all the way to the end, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. If you guys really enjoy my content, consider following me on some of my other platforms like Discord, where you can get to know other people who are interested in what ifs, or on Twitter, where I post sometimes behind the scenes updates. Or if you want to help the channel grow a little bit extra, why don't you consider donating like the people right here have, as whatever you could offer could help us get to a larger audience by helping us get new videos done, or some of the projects that we were custom art is getting kind of expensive. So we want to make sure that we have the funds to do that. But with all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I will see you in the next video.